And we're live! Welcome to the Crafty Boys, where we sit around, drink beer, and talk about bullshit because that's who we are. And this episode is brought to you by a sponsor called Craftyland, approved by Greta. So, how's it going, boys? Yep.
Going
There.
all right. Um,
Bad Putin.
bad.
Bad Putin. So, how's it going? Locke, we should start with you because you are the one who doesn't have the same beer that Alan and I do. So what have
Yes,
you?
yes.
What?
So,
Let me clarify. What have you been drinking so far this evening?
so this evening, I've been drinking, and it is a unusual choice for me, but I am actually cutting back a little bit on my alcohol consumption just because it's summer and seems like a good idea. This is a thing called Unmapped. It's a hazy light IPA. This is a 4% beer. And it is right.
4%.
4%, yes, which means that I can comfortably drink this in the evening while it's muggy and hot outside and the air conditioner doesn't work.
Right.
And then go to sleep and wake up in the morning not feeling like a rat came in and barfed in my throat. Right?
I agree. I hate it when rats break into my home and barf in my throat.
As you know, I think there are many uses for the fascinating and varied technology we call beer. And as I've always stated, one of them is essentially pickled water. The reason you drink the beer, like, Red Stripe in Jamaica or, Corona in Mexico, is because it's pickled water. It's water that isn't carrying anything biological that might want to eat you, right? And so that's what there's a certain class of beer, summer beer, hot weather beer, warm climate beer that is like that, and I think this is an excellent example of it. It's resiny in the way that the sort of the hop emulsification stuff that you get in Vancouver with color and shape. Is that
Yeah.
Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that kind of resininess, but in a quaffable, refreshing pickled water kind of formula, and it's great.
Okay.
And yes, it's muggy and hot.
I was just gonna say, has the weather changed there now?
It's gotten rainier the last I'd say 48 hours, but that said, it's still muggy and hot.
Is it primarily a Actually, what has the weather been like there? I have no idea. Like, it's been gross here in a rainy kind of way, but I've not been paying attention to Toronto except for the smoke. Have you guys been?
I'm not in Toronto. I'm up north most week.
But are you like? I assume you're still impacted up there of that kind of stuff. Maybe not. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm far enough north that smog isn't an issue at all.
Okay.
We've got fairly clean air. It's very nice that way. What we have is the Canadian Shield, which is essentially a bunch of rocks, granite, in fact. Really, really hard rocks. And what those rocks do when they're given weather above those rocks is they reflect that weather, is my theory.
Right.
And so when it's cold, it's really cold. And when it's hot, it's really hot.
So basically, nothing really has changed except for, well, nothing.
Well,
summer. It'll
I've
always be
seen
summer.
lots has changed. What made the rocks that way was an ice age, meaning that it was, you know, ground down under a full mile of ice at some point in the last 10,000 years. And then since then, it's gone to a place where all of that ice is retreated. And what you're left with is essentially a great big granite frying pan.
You
It's
know,
like
I
a
have to say that living on the West Coast, I don't experience that level of horribleness. But at the same time, maybe we actually that's not true. I've been in Ottawa during August, and that was pretty bad. Um, so you know, I suppose it's all right to experience horribleness such as that. But again, I completely
well, I'm not
blame.
suggesting that it's horrible. I mean, one of the things about it is that it takes a while for the granite to warm up and cool down. And so what you get is a real four corners sense of the seasons. Like you get a full summer, a full fall, a full winter, and a full spring out here.
Right.
Whereas out west, you know what it's like in Vancouver most of the time. Although I can remember a couple of summers ago when it was so hot that it was just like scorching, but and dry as well, which was rare for Vancouver. But usually the Pacific Northwest, it's sort of like there's two seasons: there's spring and there's fall.
So basically, the beer you have solves of one of those problems of the not waking up completely. That horrible sleep that you can have, where basically you are dying uh, while asleep, and then you wake up and you just feel completely just you don't know what to think.
You
Actually,
mean
to
when
be
it's
honest.
you mean when it's too hot?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's sort of like I want to believe this is a fever. No, I actually am in hell. It is that warm outside. Inside, wherever I am, it's that warm, and I can't escape it. I can't. There's no air. If there's no air conditioning, then there's no air conditioning.
Yeah. Alan, has it ever gotten that hot where you've had to when you have drank some sort of beer that you still just hate everything?
No. As a resident of the West Coast, where I have been born, raised, and lived my entire life.
Ah! What's going? Get out of here, Bud Light! What? Sorry, Bud Light just suddenly appeared on the screen. Did you guys notice that? What? Get out of here! That I don't know why. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Greta.
Get out of here, you bum! There we go. Sorry. Wow, this stream is just going crazy. Bud Light and Putin. Sorry. Anyway, okay. Is that the only beer you've been drinking this evening?
What, this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said he's trying to cut back.
I know.
And I applaud him for that.
All right, so Alan and I are going to tell you all about our beer. It is Bud Light. It's right here. It is. I can't let
Did you actually go out and get a Bud Light?
This was in our hallway for some reason. So,
probably because of all the stuff that's going on with it, but whatever.
Anyway, so Moon Underwater, Mexican Vienna Lager, a collaboration with Clandestino Brewing.
Which I've never heard of. What is Clandestino Brewing?
I actually looked this up last week and I've totally forgotten. Clandestino beer is in, I believe, it is. Oh my God, where is it? Here we are. Nope, that is a no. Oh no, because it was hard to find.
It's so clandestine they don't even have a website. You can't find it.
Well, that's the problem is that they don't. They have a here we go. It's actually a YouTube channel. And that's how I was able to find anything about them at all. because they don't actually list anything. So here, wow, that was really loud. Sorry. So here you go. This is Clandestino. Oh my god. Brewing. It is a. I can't do anything right today.
I gotta say that's like
There we go.
it's picturesque and it's at least in Alan's hand. Alan seems to have. What are we looking at here?
Oh, so this is Clandestino Brewing.
This is the only thing I've been really able to find for Clandestino Brewing. Was this YouTube channel? They don't have any links to anywhere else. I don't know why. I would expect they probably should. My assumption is they must be West Coast. Like I can't see them being anywhere else, but that's just me. There is a
where are they at?
We can't tell.
This is my point. I have no idea. They are completely unknown to me.
They must be West Coast.
We don't know where they're from.
We don't.
We don't know.
But we can access their
drink. There's
you have their beer.
Okay, so the beer is from Moon Underwater.
Hold on. Are they gypsy brewers?
It could be, but they don't actually say much in the one video that I watched. But this is actually so they actually advertise their YouTube channle.
Sorry, they have a video?
Yes.
Well, that's what YouTube is. It's videos.
Well, but what would their video be? Like what? Like is it a fucking music video? What would be a video? They have a video.
Yeah. So anyway, but this beer was done
a manifesto. What is their video?
Yes, it's a manifesto of how they are the superior brewers to anything else. So I got an amazing head on mine. I don't know what happened there.
Check it, dude.
I cracked the beer and it just exploded.
Is it not picture? That is a beautiful looking beer. Like if it was just about if this was a show dog of a beer, that's a good looking beer.
But Locke, I want to make sure that you understand here that this is a collaboration brew between Moon Underwater and Victoria, and this Clandestino Brewing wherever they're located. I don't know.
Exactly.
I think they're located in Kelowna, but that's just me.
Maybe.
Okay. Alan, tell us what you think of the beer, and I'm going to do a little more digging, see if I can find more.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, wow. I mean, look at that head. I mean, it is thick, and it comes like that out of the can. This isn't like a bad pour or anything. This is just how it comes out of the can. The beer itself is a beautiful sort of like coppery kind of amber.
Yes,
color.
Right.
Now it's interesting that this is a Mexican Vienna lager. Like I've had a Vienna lager, I've had a Mexican lager. I don't see that the two necessarily mix, but we'll give it a try.
Spain, España.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if you took a Vienna lager, like say it was that really good one that we had from Moody Ales a few years back. They made a really good Vienna lager, and put in a little bit of Corona or something into it. This is what you got.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm. It is. My own personal taste, I would just take the Vienna lager on its own without the Mexican.
Okay. Shane?
But that's just me. I'm getting aromas of banana. Are you, Shane?
Yeah, I am actually. I actually want to look up what a Vienna lager is.
It's refreshing. I'm not going to say that it's quaffable. This isn't a chugging beer. There's way too much gas in it, and you're going to get yourself full and bloated pretty quickly if you try chugging this thing. Probably not a hot day sipping beer like what Locke has right now, even though this one comes in at only 4.8%. But it's still an enjoyable beer. If you're out for the evening on your patio or something and you just want one thing, this would be a good one to have.
Yeah, it's definitely a summer beer, similar to what you were talking about.
But I mean,
Alan,
it's not for like a refreshing drink after mowing the lawn kind of thing.
It's right. It's not going to rehydrate you in any way.
No.
Yeah, it's 4% alcohol by volume, brewed and bottled by Moon Underwater, and a YouTuber wanted to share his passion. Yeah, I wish he actually had a website with a little more info, but that's okay. His channel is kind of awesome. I love his style. But he must be West Coast because how awesome would it be? So, other than that, Alan, there's something coming up in September that we need to decide if Locke is going to go.
Oh yeah, are you talking about the beer fest?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
No, September I'm going somewhere else entirely.
It's terrible that you're going to be studying.
No, September. September I'm going to Africa.
You're going to Africa? Wow.
Yeah,
well, tell me more.
That is the plan, anyway.
Are you going to bless the rains?
Huh?
Are you going to bless the rains?
What is that?
Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Bless the rains down in Africa. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
You think he was a musician?
The artist? Yeah. Anyway, which my buddies Tony and Thomas out that way both
nice
sing along to every time they hear it in the sports bar in Oregon. But yeah, no, yeah. So I have a couple of friends out that way, and hoping to pay them.
Africa are you going?
I've talked to them about it. They're cool to put me up, I guess. I'm still working out what the price effective way of doing both. If I can do South Africa and Uganda, that would be super cool. But that might be overly ambitious for one trip. Maybe I might just do one or the other. So I'm still working that out and talking to the gents. So the musketeers, as they were.
Whereabouts in Uganda?
What's this?
Whereabouts in Uganda?
Kampala, yeah, capital.
Nice. And what is the plan? What is your itinerary? I want to know all the details.
Like there isn't one yet. Like we're still working it out, but that's the plan. Yeah.
Are you going to go hunting for elephants?
No, quite the opposite. Hunting people.
They're going to hunt you?
No. Hunting people, hunting for elephants.
Nice.
Do you know about the Akashinga?
No. Nope.
Okay, the Akashinga, they're like park rangers in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Trained by an Australian sniper from the Gulf War, who was like, after his tour in the Gulf War, he was like, I want to do something else with my life. And so what he did was he went and he trained a team of crack shot park rangers, all of them young women who started a movement, and they're now training each other in Zimbabwe to stop poaching of elephants. Yeah.
Wow.
Very cool. Yeah.
I was just making a little bit of a funny. I didn't even realize I kind of was hitting on exactly what, in some way, what you were going to be doing.
Well, yeah. So yeah. My the guys I know, they're totally. The reason I met them was because they went to the only place that offers an upper level degree in animal law.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
cool.
it's real
And
serious business.
that is ultimately why I chose the school I did. Although you understand that I am a carnivore and a committed one, I'm a carnivore and a committed one that understands that it's a devil's bargain that we've all made with technology, and that ultimately, although we're extending the life spans of many species that otherwise would live much shorter lives in the wild, what are we doing to the quality of life, and what does that mean, not just for them but for us, and for our level of responsibility as agents who have a will, who have a voice, a power to do things, right?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's actually, I had no
kinda
idea
jealous.
that such a thing existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's these snipers out in the jungles of Africa picking off.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're picking off each other, and that's kind of the dangerous thing, right? Is that a bunch of park rangers have been murdered by poachers, and vice versa. They've shot at them and killed them too. So
Yeah,
the poachers, the poachers aren't like weekend warriors, like going around and just like shooting at anything that moves, kind of thing, like you see in Crocodile Dundee when the poachers were trying to get the kangaroos.
Oh, you get those guys too. Yeah.
But primarily it's organized crime that,
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
Which sucks because they're stupid. Like they're going for a quick buck to, and eventually they'll be all gone if they get their way.
It's grotesquely short-sighted, is what you're saying, and yes, it is.
Yeah,
it makes no sense, but it'll be fun. Hey, you'll get to see like Lake Victoria and all kinds of stuff like that because Kampala's actually on the shore, isn't it?
I haven't been yet, so I don't know. I'm still working that out.
Let me look this up here.
Oh, no! Spoiler alert! Spoiler! No, fuck off! Don't you give me the tour guide version. I don't want any of that. I'm going to visit my buddy. That's how this is.
Now here, all I was going to do is show him nudes, but whatever. Okay, fine. Well, I won't do anything then.
So the question is, what kind of a craft beer scene exists in Africa? I would imagine that South Africa would have a pretty vibrant one, but
it's a good question. I don't know the answer. I will report back.
Yeah, please do.
We have Locke going into the field to determine the quality of craft beer in Africa.
We'll set you up with like a satellite thing that you could wear on your head. It's like, all right, man, in the field.
No. I'll just call for my cell phone.
Yeah, that's true. Cell phone service there would be quite substantial, I would think. So basically, this means that you're not coming to Beer Fest. That's all right.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be coming to Beer Fest.
Alan and I will represent.
We'll go. We'll drink your share.
Yeah.
Good.
Now here's a question. I honestly don't know the answer to this. Is Tunisia in Africa? I don't know that. Like, is it Northern Africa?
It is.
Because if I was going to go to Africa, that's where I'd go. Tunisia.
Oh, to go see the original.
I want to go see the Lars homestead.
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's a lot of the world that I'd like to see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so in terms of YouTube content, have you guys discovered Kings and Generals?
No.
Pretty good.
Tell me.
It's all sort of like it's history done sort of with machinima, like sort of filmmaking style. Like it's all like, I think they probably use like sort of mainstream video games to sort of like sort their initial graphics, and then I think they've evolved them from there. But in terms of content, like what they do is they take that and they add sort of narrative of historical battles and give you the bird's eye view of armchair general, all done sort of like game chits or whatever, so you can kind of see how the battle might have worked, sorta, which is only about as approximate as you would ever really get anyway, given the accounts that you get from historians and the vagaries of language over thousands of years. So you've got accounts of Mongol battles, you've got accounts of the Crusades, you've got accounts of but then they also have a separate sort of like section of their channel where they do like fantasy stuff. So they'll do like the Lord of the Rings, all the battles, and then they'll do like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got to say, it's very well presented. It's a sharp outfit. I like it. And boring enough that you can still fall asleep to it is the other.
That's an important aspect of any. I mean, that kind of goes into what we've done here with the Crafty Boys. Like, you want to put out something that's boring enough to fall asleep to.
The Crafty Boys ASMR. But we'll have to like jam microphones into our faces and be like, "Hey, so we're talking about beer tonight," and oh no. That's so true.
Fuck.
Oh,
sorry. That was in poor taste. Or poor inhalation, rather.
But probably we should probably mention the submarine that imploded over the last weekend. A horrible thing.
A horrible thing.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm sorry.
But no, hang on. I'm not done. However, if you watch the interview with James Cameron that came out yesterday, of him just saying, "Look, we already knew it. The moment they lost contact, we knew that it imploded. Like, why is this a big surprise? You tortured the family for the last 4 days, and now I'm hearing garbage about how are we going to recover the bodies? There are no bodies. They were shredded into pieces. So the sea life will eat them, and it sucks. But what the hell? He was very unhappy with the media coverage, as it were, because
that's actually very cool. Like I want to like James Cameron still. After Avatar and Avatar 2, I was finding it difficult, but it's good to know that he's still like normal and shit. Because I've got to say, like, if you think that spending $250,000 so that you can go down to the Titanic where it sank
in a converted trash can,
and then you end up joining them, I think all you did was get what you paid for.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I mean, take a look at this. Like, seriously, if I paid $250,000, this moment I stepped into that thing and I saw a Logitech controller being what's used to actually move it around, I'd be like, yeah, I'm out. Keep my $250,000. You go in your little coffin down to the bottom.
But they did buy the slice of immortality, though, didn't they?
What?
It'll be remembered in history, connected to the
true.
Titanic. So the people who died going to look at the Titanic, right?
The very first commercial collapse.
So they made it. They made it. They're immortal. The fuckers are immortal, aren't they? Huh? That's what the $250,000 was for. I'm going to risk my
cards who settled the Martian colonies.
I'm immortal, and if I die doing it, I'm immortal.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like $250,000 for somebody else to work their ass off doing it, so that I can risk my ass and die.
Here's a legal question. Everyone who went on the submarine for the past couple of years has been running, had to sign a death waiver. So if they died, they couldn't.
Probably so. I haven't signed one yet.
However, one of the things that Cameron said was that we've learned is that this particular submarine was built out of a material that was not certified as being whatever the certification bodies are for submarines that go that deep in the U.S. and Canada. So apparently Cameron, as well as a couple of other people, have actually communicated with the regulatory bodies over the past few years saying a carbon fiber steel, whatever the hell material this sub was made of, with the exception of the end, because to give you an idea, it's more of a cylinder. It's not a ball. So it's two rounded ends with a cylinder in the middle, so they can carry passengers. However, but the I'm just curious about the sort of legality potentially in Canada.
Well, look, so this is the fact that you just raised legality is interesting because this is very interesting. Not, I would say, strictly in a legal sense.
Not to mention, there's the wrinkle of them operating in international waters.
No. I think this is closer to being in a political sense.
Yeah.
Makes me want to just making sure the shadow doesn't cast to one side or another, so that I'm not accused of being affiliated with any fucks that I don't like. No, it's just still not fucking working. Jesus, it's hard to do these days, isn't it? Anyway, the point being, I kind of think this is a moment where there's a judgment being made about what does safe mean in the context of technology and choice in a world where we're sufficiently populated. Some people say overpopulated. Let's avoid that term. Let's instead say, like, there are enough people that the conversation is happening as to how much we're in each other's faces and how much our decisions affect other people. And that's really, was this a decision that affected other people? I think it was a decision that affected other people in that it enriched them to $250,000 to provide something that may have not been fully serviceable to the loved ones. Well, he did sign a pretty broad waiver. This is out in the middle of where is it? Whose territorial waters is this in? Is this actually in anybody's territorial waters? No,
international.
It's in international waters. So what the fuck are you talking about when you say that there's liability? Like, what does that mean in international waters, really?
I don't know. That's a good question.
What governed this? It's not clear. So who were the company that provided the service? Where do they have a specific location as a head office?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is that they're based out of the States, but they're also in Canada somehow. I assume they have offices in Nova Scotia or whatever. But I'm just curious about how, because they signed a death waiver, does that still apply? I mean, I haven't seen the death waiver, like what it actually says, but I'm just saying that as a thought idea, like what exactly could the families do to what's left of, I think it's called Ocean Alan Ocean Explorer or something like that, or World
Well,
Explorer?
they could call it unconscionable, but I don't think anybody would believe that, would they? Everybody understands why you want to go and see the Titanic. It's to be famous, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm just saying the only reason I'm thinking about it is that the
Or,
submarine.
or to experience something
Yeah. Well,
that's
no,
that nobody
exactly.
else can.
and inherently romantic. Was this
Yeah,
both
so-
risky and romantic? Yes. As romantic as being crushed to pieces in bits of aluminum and carbon fiber, but but I mean, it's romantic in the sense that they were trying to do something to expand their sense of awareness of the world around them and the things that have passed, and to understand their place in all of that. And they understood it in the end, I think, very well.
But my question is, would a document like that, a death waiver saying that we are absolved of whatever, if you die in this particular thing, there's a very real chance that could happen. But if the device that they are inside proves to be a faulty design and has been highly questioned by other people that have, for example, James Cameron said in his interview, I looked at it, I said, no, I'm not interested in going to your sub because I think it's a dangerous thing. I don't think you are building a technology that is something that can be used for what you're doing it with. Like, the submarine is classified as an experimental technology. So an experimental technology that fails with paying customers inside of it, what is that? Is that something that could actually be made hay out of? I think it could be, but that's just because I think I'm really sad for the people that died.
Sorry. Who classed it an experimental technology?
It was not certified by any government as being a particular. Basically, they didn't build it right, and a lot of people told them so.
Don't tell me who didn't certify it. Did it get recognized by anybody?
No.
Did anybody look at this thing?
Just the company.
No. Okay. Well, in that case,
no. Hang on. Other people did look at it, and they told them it was dangerous. Like,
okay,
the last couple of years.
Sure. Okay. But there was no regulatory body involved, and it's in the middle of the ocean. Who the fuck cares? It's not.
My understanding
that is my question.
My understanding is
over the middle of the ocean. That's why you can take people out and shoot them there if you want to.
Oh, really?
Well, have you not seen this? That was a cynical joke, but
no, I know. I'm just saying
the cruelly horrific documentary about from I think a Canadian filmmaker who documented finding found footage of people being essentially executed in the middle of the ocean by AK-47, just thrown out in the water and just shot off of fishing boats. And he was trying to figure out who did this and why. What happened here, right? Horrible. And so what he went through was the story of how you chase a story like that down. And what he ended up finding out, to his horror, is that that's not unusual. That's commonplace. There's no rules out there. Who enforces?
That's why I'm asking the question, because but if it's international waters, it doesn't really matter if it's sort of anyone's game. Then yeah, I guess that's the way it is. Welcoming James to the show because he's awesome. And, he was making commentary on the magviz.ca website, which you all should join and hang out in. But because he was watching us there, so I thought, hey, come on in, James. We're just kind of shooting the shit. So
yeah, I've been listening to shoot the shit.
So how weigh in on the whole submarine thing, just in any way? I've been kind of wondering, like, if
I've been catching all the highlights, and the one thing I've noticed is that besides the fact that people walk away when I come online,
I'm here.
I've seen too many memes. I've seen too many things out there that are just disrespecting the people that lost their lives, and
I haven't seen anything. What are people posting?
Pardon?
I haven't seen anything like that. What are they
really
posting?
No, I've seen it on Facebook, elsewhere, but you guys were talking about international law and all that sort of stuff, and of course, once you're out in the ocean, there is international law, and I mean, you can get away with anything. But you know what? You talk about liability. I think the liability comes in, even though they might have signed a waiver, of course, is whether or not there was any negligence. And from some of the articles I've read is you've had former employees that have outright said, and I think even potentially, put up charges of the fact that this company is cutting corners. And so,
right. Right. But where are they located? Like, where could you? What would be the jurisdiction in which you would sue them? I guess is the question that I'm asking.
Well, I think it would be based on negligence. The ship design. Where
would you sue them?
Well, I don't know.
Whose jurisdiction applies here?
Wherever the company resides in the United States somewhere, obviously.
Okay. So have we identified that? Is it actually a U.S. company?
Yeah, it's an American company.
Okay. No, well, it could have been a European company. It could be Japanese. It could be anything. You're right.
Yeah. So I think if there is negligence involved, they could do a serious lawsuit here and do something. Obviously, because they've got former employees that have literally said that this company is something's gonna happen because of the corners they're cutting.
What I read, and I don't remember where I read it, is that the company was actually up front with all those details with the paying customers, and they wanted to go ahead with it anyway.
Yeah, but you know how the law works. I mean, in the end,
yeah.
If you're screwing around with stuff, you're going to be held accountable. I mean, I even read an article where they said that the little game joystick they were using was known to be glitchy and not even work properly. So there's going to be a ton of things there they can work with. I don't know.
I mean, it's one of those. It depends. Like, I think in this case, if it's a U.S. company and if there were U.S. citizens on that, whatever it was, submarine, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah,
submarine.
Really
if there were American citizens, like, here's the thing you got to understand is like I get the fucking headline. And then I'm in work, and so I don't really know any details about this matter at all. So I'm just kind of like roughing it in terms of what I know. But so what we do know is that it is an American company. Were there American citizens on the submarine?
I don't know the nationalities of the people that were on it personally. That wasn't stated.
Okay.
There were people from Pakistan.
I would suggest that might be important as to where you would end up finding, the question of like how jurisdictional is this? What is the finding going to be? Because ultimately, if there were American citizens on this thing, and the company's based in the U.S., then you can reach them with litigation. Absolutely. That's not a problem. Anything else? Okay, this is still a question to be answered. And so there might be a preliminary matter, as they say.
I would think there'd be accountability no matter who was on it, no matter where that country was or where that company was located. But I don't know. I mean,
well,
did you guys see the walkthrough? Did you guys see the video walkthrough of the actual sub that they went into? Oh my God. I would have taken one look at that and said, no.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, I think almost anybody would. So the fact that these guys paid the money and went anyway.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's an exciting thing to do. I mean, you're going to this little sub, you're going down to see the Titanic. I mean, as a billionaire, you would expect to have huge luxuries like first class, where you're sitting in a like the captain's chair of the Star Trek Enterprise or something. But still, I mean, it would have been a fun ride. These things are supposed to be safe, especially when you're paying those kind of bucks. You can probably
I think down to those depths, you can't consider anything safe.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think the dollars were for safety. I think they were for fame. I think this is just I'm buying a chance to climb Mount Everest with somebody else, doing the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly, well, not interestingly, but Mount Everest has its own. Like lots of people try to climb Mount Everest. People die climbing Mount Everest. In fact,
it's another fucking eco disaster in that the garbage thrown away by fucking adventure tourists who need to climb Mount Everest has become a real fucking problem and an eyesore, making it almost sort of not worthwhile. You would think, sort of like going to a cool neighborhood with a Foot Locker in the middle of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, very recently where I work for a provincial healthcare organization, and they announced that one of our doctors, who was going on I guess it was his dream to climb Mount Everest, he died. He died in the attempt.
Okay.
So, I mean, people do this kind of stuff, and
it's a very different situation. You're independent on that. You're not contained into a submarine that's supposed to be your safety. I mean, if you were taking some sort of a jet or helicopter ride to the top of Everest, I mean, okay, maybe.
But are you really independent? I mean, you're kind of like, you're climbing Mount Everest. You're going to have guides and everything. You're not going to abandon your guides. Right? I mean, I don't, it's not like, okay, later guys, I'm going home kind of thing.
Well, I mean, it's also in terms of Mount Everest. I mean, the bulk of people who have died going up are still there.
To be clear, although I may sound a little callous in terms of whether I think that there's any liability here, I also don't think that the people who did this lost anything by doing it. I think they achieved something in terms of their life goals that was ultimately meaningful in ways that they didn't predict. But at the end of the day,
are you including the child that was on board?
They have literally put the adventure in adventure tourism. If adventure tourism wasn't dangerous, it wouldn't be adventure tourism, would it?
There was a child on board that sub.
Fine.
I don't think that child's lifelong goal was to die at the bottom of the Titanic.
No, but that's
look. Take a look at 2,000 years of child death as a regular occurrence, with 4 times out of 5. Like that was most of 1,000 years. Well, at least of European history. To be fair, I'm not that informed about everywhere else, so I won't comment on that. But
this is 2023. Everything is padded and bubble wrapped.
Right, it doesn't matter that it's 2023. That's what everybody keeps saying, is that the date is this, and so therefore we should be able to rely upon and expect and demand and feel entitled to. I'm sorry, the fact that it's 2023 doesn't matter.
Well, it does when they enforce security and safety on everything. Everything is safe. There's insurance for everything.
No, it isn't. It isn't safe.
Don't you remember living in the 1970s when we didn't have to wear a helmet when we rode a bike?
You have a promise to try to make things safe. Whether it's enforceable or not is back to non-safety. Do you understand?
Safety is mandated today. Back in the 70s, there was no safety.
But it's not enforceable. And do you understand what enforcement? Enforcement is the opposite of safety. Enforcement means hurting people, so nobody's safe. Do you get that?
Oh, trust me, I get it. We were safer in the 70s than we are now, but the fact is they've mandated safety. You can't do anything without having the proper safety equipment.
I'm not safe. Nobody's safe. Well, there is no safe.
But you're right.
There's never
mandate safety. There's now accountability on that safety.
It's a word that means I hope everything's going to be okay. It doesn't mean any more than that.
All there is insurance
fingers at best. Do you understand that? There is no such thing as safe. There's prudent. There's what would you go past prudent? Let's see. Diligent. There's diligent. Prudent, diligent, due diligence. What's due is diligence. Okay, right? Like, so yeah, you want to check it out to make sure that you're not doing something really stupid, but you're never safe. Here, did they do something really stupid? I don't know. I think they did something really brave. Romantic, crazy, yeah, but sort of cool. And the fact that they'll be in the history
they did something they
for
thought
the
was
rest
going to be
of our
exciting and
lives.
safe. The expectations were they went to Disneyland. They did the submarine tour. You guys have all done it. The little tour.
Disneyland is a
It's going to be
lie.
safe. So
It isn't real. It's just good poetry. That's all.
point is, that's what people expect, and there it is. You know.
Well, their expectations are foolish then.
Yes.
Well, of course, but that's because they've been mandated over the last 40 years.
No, what does mandated mean?
Okay,
Told what to
I
do?
think I see.
Okay.
I think I see what
What?
James is saying.
What do they
People have an unreasonable expectation of safety now because of all of, like, the bubble wrap that the insurance companies put us all around so that they can avoid paying out huge claims for things.
Yes, it's 40.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I see this in healthcare.
EYA.
I see this in healthcare as well. I think people have an unreasonable expectation on not just the healthcare system in Canada, but around the world. It's like people say, okay, well, I'm supposed to live to be like, I don't know, 100 years or whatever. I'm just picking that number out of my hat. And if somebody dies, you know, like at, say, age 60, they feel like they were gypped. Somebody's at fault. Who's at fault? Oh, it's the medical system. The medical system's at fault. No, the medical system isn't at fault because some people live to be 2 years old. Some people live to be 20 years old. Some people live to be, in very rare instances, 120. You know, you don't know. And nobody can change that. But we have an expectation that I'm going to live to be an elderly old man or woman. And if I don't make it there, it's somebody's fault.
Of course. And that's what I was trying to say is that in 2023, the expectation is everything is safe. You know, when we were kids in the 70s, we weren't forced to do anything. I mean, we rode our bikes without helmets. We were in the back of pickup trucks and lawn chairs. These are all things that, my God, if a cop came by, you'd be hammered with a fine. They're completely unsafe. You can't ride a motorcycle without a helmet. All these things. And so as the years went on, all of these safety precautions came out, right down to seat belts, the whole works. And so now it's expected that everything we do is wrapped around safety. So if you go and decide to take a submarine ride down to the Titanic, you're freaking safe because that's the world we live in.
You have a perception of safety.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't make
an
it
unreasonable perception.
Exactly. Unreasonable, because in the end, that safety was never about us to begin with. It was about money and profit and new ways to generate money. I mean, just think about safety in general. If you say, hey, we're doing this for safety, but in the end, you've opened up a whole new market to create billions of dollars. It was never about our safety. It was about money. And then the insurance companies, my goodness, they're going to rake in the bucks too. Yeah. So,
well, just wait until the first commercial space liner happens, or burns up in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
you know, taking 300 passengers with it. Like,
yeah, I'm not doing that either.
Yeah, planes are reasonably safe, and I'm pretty confident that most of the planes are well ordered.
I don't like flying for that particular reason.
Hey, look, it depends on what kind of news.
Burn up in the atmosphere?
Huh?
Oh, okay, flying in general. Okay.
Yeah, flying in general.
I've never really.
I hate flying. Can't stand it.
Really?
I'm
Huh.
like B.A. Baracus. You better knock me out.
Huh.
People do that. I love Ambien, and then they wake up on the other end. The well, I totally get it. I think you're right, James, because I find that people don't read books enough, and one of the books that I always think is a good one is Let Them Eat Dirt, which is about letting children play with broken glass and let them eat dirt and all that kind of stuff, and they'll definitely know not to play with broken glass if they cut themselves ever again. Let them touch the burner on a stove. That kind of stuff, and they can find out pretty damn quick. And also, actually, what's fascinating is that going to a hospital environment repeatedly over the last month or so, I actually discovered masks are optional.
Yeah.
Very few of the staff actually wear them.
Yeah, it's been like that for about 2 months now.
So I've actually not asked them of like, why is this? Every time I go outside, people freak the fuck out about masks. And I come here and I'm like, you're not wearing, wow, that's interesting. Why is this?
So here's something interesting. Do you notice like masks have become a signal as much as they've become, a prudent measure. And so there's a certain like solidarity with the mask wearing community. Do you find that?
Well, yeah, but being in a medical facility,
the elderly have their own agenda, but I'm talking about the ones that are like, they were never really in danger in the first place because they're sort of in their 20s in the prime of it. Like it'd be very rare for them to get cut down by a virus. And yet they're very, very keen on the masks.
The mask mandates were created as because the public wanted it. There was elements of the public that wanted it really badly, and
what
people don't understand. People don't understand how masks work, and so they went ahead and did it because it was easier than trying to explain why you don't need a mask. So they went ahead and did that. The masks are an important measure in certain situations, but they weren't the need all that some people thought that they were. Unless, and it depends on the type of mask. But like say surgical masks, when you wear those, they don't protect you from anything. They protect everybody else from you.
Yeah.
The only mask that you wear that actually protects the wearer is an N95 mask, which is actually a respirator. But those need to be professionally fitted. If they're not professionally fitted, they're not doing anything. And
that's actually,
once
I see that a lot.
Fitted, they only last for like maybe a few days, and then you got to throw it away, and you got to go through that process again of getting a new one, having it professionally fitted, which is like an hour-long process. So it's not really practical to use N95 masks for like day-to-day life. So use the surgical mask. But again, the surgical masks don't protect the wearer. They protect everybody else from the wearer.
Back to my original point about safety since the 70s, the masks.
Yes, please.
That was a whole wonderfully lovely new margin of profit, a new area for people to make money on. Just like you said, I mean, it all comes down to money. And I know you're saying that people wanted it. Honestly, the mask is fear-based, and there's fear involved, but there's money in fear.
Yeah, I know. As somebody who works in the healthcare,
the thing that I've noticed, and I think this is a factor, I see a lot of young women doing it, and I think part of it is because it relieves the pressure of having their face, ultimately.
That is actually a thing in Japan.
Guys. right?
That's a thing in Japan. Young women wear
because
masks
because,
in Japan,
because it
so they
makes sense
don't
to
have
me.
to.
Like
Yeah,
you
it's a
know,
beauty thing. It's a vanity thing.
But
here
what's
in
the,
BC,
but again, what's the source of that? What's the source of anything? Anybody wearing a mask? What is the source of them wearing it? Fear.
Yeah.
Simply, fear. They're afraid of something. They're afraid they're going to get a disease. They're afraid somebody's going to see them. Whatever it is, it's fear based. And I mean, name one reason why you would wear a mask, and it's not based on fear. Try.
the only people who should be wearing masks, even right now, are the ones with some kind of symptoms, like some sort of respiratory symptoms. Those are the only people who should be wearing masks. And even during the pandemic, those should have been the only people wearing masks. It's more. It was more important.
Well, okay,
It was more important to wash your hands regularly and not touch your face.
Yes, because you know how you're actually going to contract this? It's not from somebody breathing on you.
Nope.
It's your freaking fingers. Every time I've ever gotten sick has always been the same case. It's Christmas. I go to a Christmas party. There's a buffet of food. Inevitably, somebody brings their sick kid who's sneezing and sniffling, putting their hands in the chips, and then I go grab a chip. That's how I get sick. It's my hands. It's what I touch.
You get the virus or whatever on your hands, and then you touch your eyes,
or
your nose,
food,
or your mouth.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
And that's how you contract it.
Right.
So if you wash your hands regularly and don't touch your face, you won't get sick.
You will never get sick, and that's my point. So when
I won't say never.
Well,
there is still a possibility,
I'm going to say
but I mean,
really high percentage. I mean, think about it. You're at the grocery store and somebody's 3 feet away and they're breathing. I'm sorry, you're not going to get sick. You know,
there is a small possibilty.
Very small. Yes, they sneezed in my eyes and snot got in there. Sure.
But surely that depends on the virus, no? Like some are more cumulative.
Yes, absolutely, it does.
Yeah,
it does absolutely.
Yes, because some of the viruses have like stronger wings, so they really fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are heavier than others, so they actually linger in the air longer than, like, say, the coronavirus actually was pretty heavy. It actually fell to the ground really quickly.
Okay, but you do realize that
other ones do not. They actually linger in the air a little bit.
COVID-19, right? That's what it was called.
Yeah.
There are many COVID viruses.
Oh yeah.
Many.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But the original one, the first one, it actually hung in the air for a very short amount of time. It like basically, I think it was like, I want to say it was less than 6 seconds.
Yeah, it's just interesting because if you do any research on it, how many people on the planet die of the flu every year? This is a stat that people don't know. It's never been reported. But
it actually is. You can find that. You can find those stats.
I'm not saying you can't find it. I'm saying nobody has ever reported it.
That's not true.
Really? So you watch the 6 o'clock news and they say, hey, this year at the fiscal year end, 2.5 million people died of the flu.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay. I'm sure everybody else has too. You're in the medical industry. Maybe you have.
No. That information is readily available. There was way more people who died from COVID-19 than the flu, even on the worst years that the flu killed people.
Sure, but it depends on the information you look into, and that's the thing, and that's why it's such a sensitive topic, because if, let's say, I go into the hospital and I die on the bed of a heart attack and they test me for COVID, I'm a COVID death. And that goes on the numbers. Really?
Well, was a heart attack caused by, or was COVID a complication? It could have been.
It doesn't matter. it doesn't matter. The point was that there's all kinds of these things that were taking place. Like I said, super controversial, tough thing to dive into. But
I mean, okay.
if you trust,
I have a question for you.
Well, before you ask me your question, if you trust the media 100%, then good to go.
Okay.
And you do, right?
The media.
I'm actually have a degree.
Generalize through
I
media
have
when you were
in communications and I've done media studies. We go through a lot of ethical training. I don't trust Fox News. I don't trust some of these new news agencies that's cropped up from like
Do you trust CNN
sources. I don't watch CNN, so I don't know. I don't.
Oh, okay, because you pointed out Fox, so it seems to me if you're going to point out one station, that should probably mean all stations.
No, I disagree. No.
Yeah. Because the government has our best interest in mind. Okay. Good to know.
Sorry, the government doesn't own Fox, but yeah, they are like actually like a monstrous privately held. Are they not still closely held? Fox?
I believe they're still owned by Rupert Murdoch.
Murdoch, yeah. One of the last
and he actually had the mandate when he started it. He actually wanted to have a right-wing bent to his reporting for the purposes of pumping.
But he is still the same. Is he still not the same Murdoch as the produced Gallipoli?
I don't know.
With Mel Gibson?
Maybe. I mean, he's got a media empire.
All I'm saying is for an Australian, he's got a hell of a reach into the United States, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, Gizzy,
what do you want to know?
What
media I trust?
What say you?
I trust my own fucking brain.
Oh, that's good. Critical thinking.
I will tell you. Here's the thing. In terms of news, the first place I will always go is actually the two places I will go are the CBC and the BBC.
Yes.
Two organizations that are, publicly funded that in theory are looking out for people's best interests, but I don't trust them.
Not implicitly.
I will learn about things that
is precisely why I prefer the Financial Times, is because it's a bunch of people looking out for their best interests.
Well,
so
exactly.
I know that I trust them.
But there's the thing is that I will learn about information that's going on, and I will then look for other, reputable sources, consider like, I don't know, fucking NPR or CNN maybe, I don't know, but I rarely go to, US based stuff. Globe and Mail, stuff like that.
There is no news in the US anymore. It's all just editorial.
True. Well, and that's the thing is I tend to ignore, unless they're saying something interesting, I tend to ignore op-ed stuff. I tend to ignore other things. I also ignore stuff that's written badly, that's obviously written to be, a competitor for, clickbait and stuff like that. But the reality is, a couple of people I've talked to in the past couple of days are all pissy about Facebook news not being allowed in Canada. All of a sudden, blah blah blah, would buy, Bill C-18. I don't care. I do not use social media platforms ever to look for, search for, find news. Just not a thing. I do not trust. I will trust the CBC over any social media platform or any other fucking website on the internet first. Whether they cheat me or lie to me or whatever, fine. But that's my own fucking business. Yep. But I will tell you, I work on the internet. I trust nothing, and I will never use a non news site. I would even trust CNN over some jackweed posting some asshole stuff on his own website, which could be 100% true, but I don't care. I still believe that there is a system, as you were saying, Alan, that when you are studying to become a journalist or somebody who works in journalism, that you are instructed with a level of ethics that's higher than some fuckweed with a blogspot account. I'm sorry. I will not. I might read your stuff and go, you know what? That's a very interesting thought. But I'm not ever going to refer to a blogspot or any other fucking website that's not in the wheelhouse of having been around for a while. Like, sure, are they broken? Yeah, because the problem is media companies made a big fucking mistake in the year 2000. They decided to put their shit online for free and they gave it away. It exploded into the blogiverse. It's free, freely tradable stuff. Things like NPR, CBC, all those organizations, that stuff should be freely available and tradable and whatever. You can do whatever the fuck you want with it. But private corporations like, Fox, I mean, I know very little about Fox except that the Murdoch family guy owns it. But I could not tell you what CNN does. I could not tell you what any other fucking news organization, except for maybe the Globe and Mail. But the thing is that it's given us an entire generation and a half or 2 generations that think that news should be free. They don't recognize or read a history book once in a while that there were kids on street corners in the fucking 1920s going extra, read all about it, because they were selling a newspaper with news in it. There was misinformation back then. I don't know why people are so hot about it being like a new thing. And I'm like, no, it's always been around. Yeah. There's one thing that'll protect you, and it's this fucking thing in your skull. And read a fucking book once in a while. Go to the library. Go and take a fucking class, just because if you're bored on Tuesday nights and you got nothing to do, maybe go learn something. It doesn't have to be about news or anything. Go take a pottery class. But the reality is, because people don't read anymore, a vast majority of people don't read. James Gunn was on a podcast. Hey, hang on. Hey, shut up, you. James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, all these things, was on a podcast the other day. And the thing that I laughed at, because I thought was the best thing ever said, is that he was so sad that not many people read comic books anymore. And I'm like, if people aren't reading comic books, they're definitely not reading the news. They're not reading. They're going to Facebook. They're fucking lazy as shit. They're going to Twitter, and they're reading stuff there. And those are far easier to manipulate than anything else. Now, does that mean that all of these other news agencies are perfect? Of course not.
No.
I'm never going to say that the CBC is perfect. I think they need a kick in the pants once in a while. But so does everything. Like, this is the whole thing. Like, going back to your comment earlier, James, about people have this idea that everything should be safe, and that bumpers on corners of tables and all kinds of shit have been a thing for the last 20, 30 years. Like, we all here survived the 80s. We survived the 70s. Like, there was no incredible death rate back then of people or kids eating rocks. Exactly. We learned to, at some level, recognize that we are individuals that have our own brains and we can actually think for ourselves. I was a Montessori child. That was basically the entire Montessori method. Was, here's what you need to learn. Let's give you some ideas about how you can learn it. But if you have a better way, we'll evaluate it. And you know what? We'll even give you time to be like, you know what? Here's the thing you got to learn about. Tell us how you want to learn about it. And go do that. And of course, if you're a dumb child who's like, I want to make balloons. No. We're not going to learn about whatever. But if it could be applied to that, maybe, sure. Why not? But the thing is, I agree with what James is saying, that something has happened with the post-boomer parental raising. Like, I would say kids born like 2005 onward. Like, the University of Victoria, for example, about 10 years ago, said, if you're a parent and you want to come and yell at us because your child's not doing well, we're kicking your child out of the university. We don't care. They went through like 10 years of bullshit of like parents screaming, the helicopter parent thing. And they basically said, you know what? We have a new policy. If you're a parent and you come in X number of times yelling at us that your child's not getting grades you're expecting the child to get, your kid's an adult. If they don't study and they flunk out, that is not our fault. That is your child's fault. And guess what? The new policy after all the bullshit we go through is we say, you know what? Come back next semester. And we're not giving your money back. That's the other thing too. And we're not giving you a refund. Because it's not us, it's your kid, and we are doing our best, but your child's an adult. If they don't come to class, if they don't study, and they flunk out or they do badly on a test, but however, even with policies like that, not just UVic, but there's other places that do it as well, they still are giving power to students in a way that I totally disagree with. Students should not be able to determine whether a professor who's been doing professoring for a long time and is well suited to the job should be booted out because your kid doesn't want to go to fucking class and they fail, and then you bitch and moan and tell them, oh, well, this, that, and the other thing, I didn't agree with. Fuck off.
Fuck off. A chorus of support for me. Yeah. Fucking A.
It's like people forgot to be adults at some level, but again,
people forgot to take responsibility for themselves.
Exactly, but the thing in defense of the kids who are being dicks, the parents, of course, taught them to be dicks. With things like things should be safe, things should be fair, things should be this, things should be that, and if your perception of the world doesn't match the fact that you're living in a universe with 8 billion other people on this planet who are not necessarily going to like you, they're not going to do things the way you think they should be done, and they might have better ideas than you, but that makes you sad, and you should tell them that they're jerks because they're smarter than you, or dumber, who knows? But the world is not fair, the universe is not fair, and yes, we try to make things as fair as possible, and it's an unattainable bar, and people going down into sub that signed a waiver. I mean, my opinion about the whole thing is that they signed a waiver and that's it. But I'm interested in what the families will do. Are the families going to blame someone? Are they going to say that because there's already talk in the media, like James Cameron said it, that particular design was stupid and was going to eventually fail, and it was made of materials that you should not make a submarine at that depth out of? Sure, if you want to go to 6,000 feet, you probably should not. You should be in a ball of steel and titanium, and you shouldn't be in a carbon fiber thing because he said it delaminates. It comes away from the metal. It causes holes. So, it's going to fail eventually. But, you do it in, 100 feet of water. It's not going to really matter. It'll leak and you'll know. But down there, it just collapses and that's it. You're done. But here's the thing. It's a fascinating conversation to me because there's all of these things playing together, years of, I'm going to pick on the 90s as well. Post 80s parental leadership, but whatever, because Alan's kids are fucking crazy. They're all like, oh, the world's safe. No, I'm kidding. But because I know his kids, I know they're not crazy. Except for that youngest one, he's kind of nuts. Is he watching right now? You should go to bed.
I don't know.
Actually, who knows? He's probably like 25 now. But yeah, I think it's a fascinating thing, and I just think that, as Alan said, the adult thing has sort of gone out the window to a certain degree, and it's causing real life ramifications for other people who don't subscribe to that same way of thinking, whether they're a professor, whether they are just Joe Smith on the street, like there's and the mask argument. To me, whatever. I will trust a medical person over the dude next door. If they say, you know what, you don't need to wear one. It's all good. We're all, we all got the chip, and we're all going to be at Bill Gates' sex party soon. But, there's these things that I think that
Bill Gates is having sex parties. What?
Oh, well, he was injecting chips into people, so therefore we're being tracked, and and he has orgies apparently. So where's my invite, man?
I imagine Bill Gates is
I'm not far from Redmond. I can get there in like an hour.
Bill Gates is probably like, as a host, is probably like Lewis from Ghostbusters.
Well, you mentioned trusting the guy next door versus a medical professional. Yet at the same time, you contradict yourself, because maybe you should start thinking about critical thinking and trusting yourself and your own judgment and doing the research.
Oh,
instead
well,
of saying,
that's
hey,
true.
I'm not even gonna look into this subject. I'm either going to trust the medical system or trust the guy next door. Right. You can hold that mask up all you want.
But I still wear these, even though they've said they're optional.
Right. You still wear them, but have you researched this topic to death to warrant your own critical thinking to wear them?
I don't have to, because I have a brain.
This is something that
by the way, when I wear this mask, I'm more concerned about me coming in and bringing in something. I hang out with people on the outside, and I know that I'm going into an environment where there's going to be people that may not have the best immune systems.
Right. You're more concerned.
I'm concerned for them.
None of you, James, me, Locke, Shane, none of us have done research on this. And if you say that you are, I want to see your peer-reviewed report. I want to see your bibliography. I want to see.
Yeah, but before you continue, I'm not going to do the research for you. When I do my research, I don't go and ledger it so that I can go and prove it to somebody else. It's my own research. If you want to,
and you haven't done any research, because that research is,
well, now you're being very
by definition that.
No, now you're being.
Then you haven't done a lick of research. You watched a YouTube video or read some website from some guy wearing a tinfoil hat.
No. See, now you're just being an ass. You're being judgmental. You have no idea what I have or haven't done in the last 3 years. You're just spouting these things out, saying I've done no research because I haven't ledgered it out to go and give it to you so that the work is already done for you.
But the whole point of research is that it's peer reviewed.
It's my personal
if it hasn't
research.
been peer reviewed, it's not research.
Okay.
Here's my perspective on this. I have no particular dog in the fight over whether masks are effective, not effective. What I'm considering and wondering about, and have randomly done, mostly because of unsurety as to what the expectation is in the room. But if you randomly, in today's environment, wear a mask, it's much more effective than if you're principled about it. If you're principled about it, then people get the game right away. They're like, oh, he's that kind of person. But if you're a bit random about, but occasionally wear a mask for no obvious reason, people pay attention. What's that about? Why is he doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why is he wearing a mask, you mean? Like,
well, what I'm saying is I think I might wear a mask occasionally, now and then. No, for no particular reason. Just because, then everybody's sort of like, oh, shit, are we doing masks again?
Well, I'll tell you where I work, because we deal with people who are immunocompromised. We actually have been wearing masks for several years during cold and flu season.
We wear masks. I'm social about it, but go on.
So we wear masks. I think it's like end of October through to like early March or early April, usually, and then that kind of got thrown aside when COVID hit and we started wearing masks all the time. But we are going back to that, where we will wear masks from October to April, let's say. And that's just because we work in an area with a lot of immunocompromised people. And we don't want to see them getting sick. But we do that for the sake of the patients, not for our sake. So, I mean, there's a time and place for masks.
Which I don't diminish for a moment. I mean, taking proper care of your patients.
In an OR.
We all support that. It's a very good idea. Yes.
Yeah, in an OR, during surgery, the surgeons, the nurses, the anesthetist, I can't even say that right now. They all wear masks not to protect them, but to protect the patient.
Yeah, right.
That's because that's what that mask does. It doesn't protect the wearer; it protects everybody else from the wearer.
Yeah.
Actually, just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Say it doesn't protect the wearer.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a surgical mask.
So does that mean that the mask is one directional? Right. I mean, just think about it logically.
Act as a filter. That's not what it does.
So how does it filter one side but not the other? It
doesn't
side?
filter at all on either side.
Okay, so how does it protect anybody?
Sorry?
Well, if it doesn't filter on either side, how does it protect anybody?
Well, okay, so here. So if you're wearing a mask and you're breathing, the germs that you expel are not coming straight out.
Right.
So like say a surgeon is looking over the open wound, it won't go out. It will go out to the sides.
Okay.
Or
but then it would protect you because then your patient who is also expelling, it won't enter your mask.
No, because what it does is when the patient's going to have like under anesthesia is going to be on a respirator, right? It's not going to be breathing on his own at all. So when you're out like that, you can't breathe on your own.
Right, but in the general public, then it would the same principle would apply. It only
no. So what you're doing is the surgeon, when he breathes, the germs go out this way with force, and then they linger in the air to the sides. When the patient breathes, if the patient could breathe, the patient's not breathing. But if they did, they would be expelling air upwards, assuming they're lying supine on their back. If they're not, a lot of times they're not during surgery. So it all depends. It all depends on the type of surgery.
Well, yeah, I mean that's my point. Is that
makes sense.
If I have to sneeze or cough, that's what I don't want it to go.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the only thing that a mask prevents.
Yeah, and if I wanted to really protect people, I would like get a full face. I'd have to shave, but I don't
hazmat suits.
So
yeah,
exactly. May as well walk around in one of those and just or what are those suits like in Back to the Future?
This is an interesting fact. I don't know if you guys know. I didn't know this until maybe a couple of years ago. But if you have surgery like to your colon, they bring in after you're out, they put your feet in a pulley and they actually lift your feet up so that you're basically laying on just your shoulders.
Yeah.
They cut you open and then they bring out all of your intestines, and the intestines are lying out on your chest. They do what they need to do, and then they repack it up. Yeah, it's I mean, you're not always lying on your back.
That's way fucking
even when you get put out, when you go into surgery, you're on your back. But when you're actually in the surgery, you may not be.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The surgeon.
I shudder at the thought.
So quick change of topic because it's been a good one.
While we're all here drinking, yes. Go on.
I don't know if you guys follow U.S. politics much, but
no.
Oh really? So you don't know anything about the fact that Kennedy's running?
No.
Really?
Did he die?
Wow, you guys are crazy.
What?
Yeah, the nephew.
Did he die in the 60s?
No, the nephew.
Oh, this is revolting. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because they're a democracy, right? So obviously their fucking president should be dynastic, right?
Well, he's got some good policies. As a matter of fact, he's definitely a candidate.
No, fuck.
First thing
fucking like. That's not why he's running. He's not running because he has policies. He's running because he's a Kennedy.
Okay. So one of the things that I love the fact is that like instantly
It's
said
like
one
running
of the
to
first
zero
things I
bush.
would do is like pardon Snowden, pardon Julian Assange. He's definitely a Kennedy. I don't know if you guys have checked him out at all. He's got some.
I know nothing about him.
I mean, he's probably got no chance in hell because I mean Biden's going to get it no matter what as the nomination. But
is he a Democrat or?
Yes, Democrat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems like a stupid question to ask. Maybe.
Well,
who knows? Right?
I don't think any Kennedy's ever been a Republican, but he's more
exactly. But I
mean,
mean,
in the end, his policies aren't. It's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about bringing everybody together for.
Well, that's likely. Yeah. We all know the Kennedys are nice and uncontroversial. No problem with bringing everybody together over that.
Well, you got a problem with the Kennedys?
No, I fucking can't stand any Americans, except for the ones that I like. I have plenty of friends that are Americans, but as a country, God, their politics are atrocious. There's nothing respectable about their politics. The friends I have in the United States are notable mostly for their objection to their own politics.
I'm going to say I don't understand.
Really? Because I think Canada pretty much sucks ass. I mean, we've basically fallen into silent communism for how many years now? And you're going to talk about America?
There's been nothing silent about it.
I say silent because everybody seems to be asleep about it.
Yeah, you don't live in Ontario. If you lived in Ontario, then you'd have something to bitch about communism.
Okay. Well, at least glad to hear that. I mean, so does that mean you're voting for Trudeau again?
What are you talking about voting for Trudeau? Trudeau isn't in my riding. I'm not voting for Trudeau. I'm voting for somebody in my riding. Do you know how our system works?
It was a point.
Yeah, I think
you want to get all up and up about it.
That's fine. Is that you're partisan and that you presume that people apply themselves as per party. I don't.
Okay.
What do you do? What's your bag? You got a political flavor?
A political flavor? What are you talking about?
Well, exactly. What do you do? What's it? Are you do you count yourself of any persuasion politically? Because I'm a broad skeptic on that front. There's no parties that represent my views. If there are none that represent yours, I would fully understand. But do you have a flavor that you like? Is there something that? Can you name a few points that you approve of? So far, I've heard a fair bit of disdain. You don't. I know what you don't like. What do you like?
Freedom. And that's
okay.
That's the thing that's pretty hard to find in the world today.
Explain in somewhat more detail what freedom means, because freedom is a term often dashed around. Like, what does that mean to you? How would that reflect your? Give us a given average day where freedom comes into play.
I don't think I can, because it's just not a reality on this planet anywhere.
Okay, so you think freedom isn't real, but you champion it as a romantic? Is that kind of the deal? What's your attachment to freedom? Do you like? You said you liked it. Why do you like it? What do you like about it? What does it mean to you?
About freedom?
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
I have no comment.
That's fair. If what you're saying is freedom to you means the freedom not to have to speak, I applaud that. That's very bold.
I have no comment for your sake and everybody else on this channel. because this. This is
No
a gang
comment.
up, and I don't want to be on a gang up. I really
You
don't. So,
You keep explaining, but you don't need to explain further. You've said no comment. You've said enough. You don't need to explain yourself.
all right.
Sweet. Well, on that note, boys and girls.
And
I seriously,
but
guys,
before,
appreciate
but before
this.
you do the big note, if we were all in the same room, I would give you all a very big hug.
And from me, James, I don't.
Gesture.
It was not an intention to make it seem like a gang up or anything. We're just shooting the shit.
No, I know we're
that's-
shooting the shit,
yeah.
but you know what? I don't know how many beers you've had, and I don't know how many vodkas I've had, but you're gonna put me on the panel, and all of a sudden I got to do some serious critical thinking.
Yeah.
I might do a no comment at this point.
It's impossible to do that after having a lot of
Look,
beer.
there's nothing wrong
Or
with
vodka,
that.
for that matter.
You're
There's
not
nothing wrong with it.
I can't compel you to comment. Yeah, your no comment is yours. That's a completely like a justifiable position.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
On that note, boys
I
and
would prefer to have
girls.
a comment. I would prefer to have a comment, but that might go down a dark road. I don't know.
You're making Shane drink Bud Light. Look what we've all done.
You
here.
see what's going on here, boys? But anyway, on that note,
Well, you guys were all drinking beer, but I was drinking vodka. You know that, and I'll just say this because I know you want to leave because it's what, like midnight or something.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
That's all right.
The other day, I went to the liquor store. They did not have my usual brand of vodka. I was very upset.
Uh-oh.
So I bought a Canadian brand that's
Yeah.
quadruple distilled. And I was like, ooh, that's fancy. And it's called Polar Ice. Ooh, that's fancy too. As a matter of fact,
It's expensive too.
it's very fancy. It looks cool, right?
Who makes that?
Polar Ice vodka.
That was badass.
Okay. Do not buy domestic. It tastes like fucking nail polish from liquor. It's terrible. The Germans know how to make vodka. Foreigners know how to make vodka. Canada does not know how to make vodka. So just dump it.
That's only because you haven't been to Alberta yet.
Maybe.
You haven't been to my house yet. On that note, boys and girls, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. And we'll see you.
Remind me next week.
Next
I want to
Friday.
ask James a question about vodka, but remind me next week.
James has to come next week because Alan just said so, and there's vodka involved. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you all for coming, guys. Don't leave yet. I have one thing to show you off the stream.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
See you later, and drink